Securing our border is one of the biggest concerns for Americans right now. Not long ago, we had some of the greatest border policies in the history of our country, but that's all been undone, and it's been undone in record time. So many people are hoping for a return to common sense policies that will keep us safe, and others are wondering if too much damage has already been done. Joining us today to talk about this pivotal issue and whether it can be remedied is Tom Homan, the former acting director of ICE under President Trump. He's previously served as the executive associate director of ICE enforcement and removal operations. Now, Tom is a 34-year veteran of law enforcement and has nearly 33 years of immigration enforcement experience. Tom, it is so good to have you with me. Thanks for joining Better for America. Welcome to the show.
All right. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Tom, I want to talk about something that you're doing truly amazing. That is Border 911. This is such an important, I think, effective resource for all Americans, and AMAC members are thrilled to hear about this. We are also happy to be a proud partner of Border 911. So to begin with, if you could share with our listeners a broad view of what Border 911 is all about.
I created this venture to with the main purpose of educating the American people on why border security matters. So when they get to the voting booth next year, they're going to vote for the person who's going to take border security serious and lock down our border like it used to be under President Trump. So I brought a team of experts. I think the most esteemed experts on border security. I've done it for almost 35 years. I started as a Border Patrol agent in 1984, and I climbed the ladder one rung at a time through 30 years and became the first director of ICE that actually came up through the ranks from the Border Patrol agent to a special agent to the very supervisory ranks. So I spent, almost 35 years on border security and immigration enforcement. And so I've met a lot of people in my career, and I brought what I think is the best team in the nation. I got Jason Jones. Jason Jones, he retired from the Texas DPS. He was the captain of the intelligence division. This man knows more about the criminal cartels in Mexico and Central America and how they operate. He knows how they move people, how they move drugs, how they move other things into the country, including weapons. There's not a better expert on criminal cartel activity than Jason Jones. I brought Mark Morgan. Mark Morgan was the CBP commissioner under President Trump. He was a part of the team, along with myself and President Trump, that created the most secure border in my lifetime. We did it. I mean, I've worked for 6 presidents. No one did more than President Trump. He secured the border at an unprecedented level, the highest security we've ever had. Illegal immigration was down to a 45-year low. Illegal immigration was down between 83 and 90%. And me and Mark had a lot to do with that. So I brought Mark as part of this team. He knows how to lock down that border. He knows about border security. I also brought Derek Maltz. Derek Maltz is a career DEA agent director who spent his entire career with the Drug Enforcement Administration. I brought him on the team because he knows about border security and what lack of border security means to the drug crisis in this country, especially fentanyl. Right now, Derek's going across the country for the last year and a half telling American people how fentanyl is killing a whole generation because our border is insecure. So Derek's part of the team. I also have Sarah Carter. Sarah Carter is an investigative journalist for Fox. I worked with Sarah for a couple of years on Fox. She's a part of the team. She brings a different perspective as an investigative journalist. She's not law enforcement, wasn't one of the guys carrying the badge and gun, but she knows the border very well because she spent 20 years down as an investigative journalist. So she brings an entirely different perspective. She's been embedded with a lot of groups down there, so she's part of the team. And we got Victor Avila. Victor Avila is a special agent, senior special agent, who spent a lot of his career as an ICE special agent working in Mexico. He worked on an attaché case in Mexico City. He worked there for years investigating criminal cartels and small aliens that sex trafficking women and children and trafficking drugs. He and his partner were ambushed by the criminal cartel in Mexico. They murdered his partner. Victor was wounded several times but survived. So he brings a unique perspective on the criminal cartels and how violent they actually are down in Mexico, plus all his years of investigative experience. So I brought
So Tom,
I brought together the best team.
you've got a great team. No question
That
about it. You've
and
got a
what the
great
thing
team. I
about this
mean, when you
team,
talk
though,
about,
the thing
yeah,
about
go
this
ahead.
team, I need to let people know though, I call us the best experts in the country. Why is that? Because we were on the line. We wore the uniform. We
That's right.
arrested bad guys. We investigated cartels. We put people in prison. And we're part of the team that created the most secure border in my lifetime. So we're not experts because we read a book. We're not experts because we went down and watched what the Border Patrol did and reported on it. We're experts because we did the job. We stood on that front line and worked our way up.
And that's so important. So tell me about this great team. So you've got the great team, people like Mark Morgan, Sarah Carter. I mean, you've got incredible people that have been there, that have been reporting on the issues, that have personally experienced, whether losing a partner, as you mentioned, doing the tough work that needed to be done under a Trump presidency. Tell me about what this incredible team is going to do to bring light and hopefully education, awareness on what's really happening at our southern border.
I want people to go to border911.com. You look there, you see what we're doing. First of all, we're doing podcasts, live podcasts. We're doing every Wednesday. Last about an hour and a half. We talk about different subjects. Last week, we talked about the national security crisis on our border, the number of special interest aliens that crossed our border, the number of people off the terrorist watch list, and how that relates to what happened in Israel. If they can penetrate Israel's border, which is one of the most sophisticated border systems in the world, what's that mean for our border, where you got 70 to 90% of agents off the line? Our border is very vulnerable to terrorism. So we have weekly podcasts. You can look at watch them live, or you can go to Rumble and watch them. But we also going to travel around the nation. We're going to have huge, large events where we talk to people about why border security matters. It's not just about illegal immigration. I understand illegal immigration enforcement is very controversial. I get it. It's very emotional for a lot of people. But it's not about immigration enforcement anymore. When you cause a crisis this big that the Biden administration did, this self-inflicted humanitarian crisis that results in 70 to 90% of agents no longer in patrol because they're busy processing all these people, that's when the fentanyl comes across to 100,000 Americans. That's when no inspected terrorists are going across. That's when the gang members and criminals are going across because there's big gaps in the border system. So in addition to the podcast and going around the country, we're also going to do some live streaming shows where people can tune in and watch us. Jason Jones in a helicopter at Texas DPS chasing a group of cartel members who are smuggling drugs across the country. You're going to switch to Derek Moss, who's going to be on a DEA operation about fentanyl this season and how it got there and where it's going and the people that are arrested involved with that. We can go to Sarah Carter on human trafficking down on the southern border when she's embedded with some groups. So it's almost like the old TV shows and Cops and Live PD, where we're going to be shooting to the field and live time, real time, so people can see exactly what's happening. We're going to be your eyes and ears on the ground, but you're going to be able to tune in and watch exactly what happens on the border while we're down there.
That is so important. I applaud what you're doing because I think many people are finding it hard to get accurate information about anything. I mean, this is one of the reasons why AMAC just loves what Border 911 is doing, because you're directly laying out the facts. Your website lays out charts regarding the number of criminals, murderers, sex offenders. My God, the amount of drugs that are coming over, even potential terrorists, as you indicated, entering the United States under Joe Biden. I mean, this is incredible, Tom. Our listeners know this, but I just want to put it in perspective. Maybe you can help us put this into perspective. 981 pounds of fentanyl that have come over. This is in fiscal year 2023, I'm reading. Over 7,000 pounds of methamphetamine, heroin, cocaine, marijuana, you name it. This is all coming over. So just the drugs alone, I mean, help put that into perspective. What does that amount of fentanyl mean to Americans?
Well,
What
let's
does
put it
that
this
do?
way.
I mean, you just put that into perspective.
Let's put it this way. One agency, the Drug Enforcement Administration, who Derek Moss spent his career with, just one agency, the Drug Enforcement Administration, the DEA, last year seized enough fentanyl to kill every person in America. That's just one agency. If you add together what Texas DPS has seized, what Arizona has seized, enough fentanyl has been seized coming across our border to kill every American 3 times over. That's
Three
what was
times
caught.
over.
And that's what was caught.
Wow.
People need to understand that they're catching a lot, but that means a lot's coming, a lot that we're not getting. So people, it's not a coincidence in 2 years of uncontrolled immigration, the historic illegal immigration we see on the border, again, that overwhelms the Border Patrol, so many people are taken off patrol. It's not a coincidence. In historic illegal immigration, we got historic overdose deaths in this country. Since Joe Biden's been president, we got over 112,000 Americans have died from fentanyl alone. Now, we're not even talking about the cocaine that comes across the border or the methamphetamines that comes across the border. Numerous drugs come across that border. But for fentanyl itself, 112,000 dead Americans. And this is why border security is important, because the Mexican cartels in Mexico have killed more Americans than any terrorist organization. They've killed more Americans than every terrorist organization combined. So that's why the southern border, and this is what we're going to talk about, educate American people on, is the biggest national security failure in this country since 9/11. And I am scared to death about the future of this country and the safety of this country right now under this administration, because we know that 272 people off the terrorist watch list have been arrested since Joe Biden's been president in 3 years. 272 in 3 years.
Wow.
Under President Trump, in 4 years, 14. 14 in 4 years, and President Biden has 272 in 3 years. Just last month, September alone, 18 people off the terrorist watch list were arrested. Under Trump, 14 in 4 years. So this is where our border's at right now. This is why we're dead set in getting out to the American people and telling them it's just not about illegal immigration anymore. It's about the safety and security of this country. It's about, Israel says all the time, they took their border seriously because it's a matter of life or death. We're there now. We got to take border security serious because it's a matter of life and death.
That's exactly right. And on the numbers in terms of the people coming over, now this is encounters that I'm talking about, U.S. Border Patrol encounters in 2023 so far, we're almost at 1.7 million. That doesn't include the gotaways. In 2022, 2.2 million, over 2.2 million. If that doesn't include the gotaways, the gotaways are the bad guys. They're the guys who don't want to get caught. So they're figuring out a way to get over. And we see it. I mean, we've got AMAC members on the border who have said they're coming through our property. They're coming through our farmland. They're coming through our cattle. We find their clothing here. We were down at the border a year and a half ago, and we saw it firsthand. How many people do you estimate have actually come into the United States? Because these numbers that we see that are, the government helps substantiate, it doesn't tell the whole picture. How many are actually coming over, in your opinion?
Well, actually, during FY23, they just ended October 31st. At the end of September. The fiscal year ends September. So fiscal year 23, the Border Patrol had just shy of 2.5 million encounters. 2.5. That's a whole new record. First year under Biden, he had 1.7. Historic record. Second year, 2.4. Another historic record, or just shy of 2.4. Now he's got 2.5. Historic record. But the record this year is even worse than that, because here's what the administration is not telling you, right?
That's
to their so-called legal pathways, that's not legal, and they will lose it once the federal court makes the decision. They're bringing thousands to an airport, thousands of illegal aliens who have no qualification to enter this country, no documents, no admission ability. They're bringing to airports, and they're doing that into port of entries. They're doing that to try to push they can report less illegal alien numbers. So let's talk about facts here. Just shy of 2.5 encounters. But if you add what we're bringing through the port of entries and airport and what's coming through the northern border illegal crossings are up 800% in some sectors. We're looking at 3.2 million. 3.2 million total encounters in FY23. That's the truth.
Yeah.
That's a fact this administration won't lie about. Think about that. Since Joe Biden's been in the White House, we got just over 9 million encounters on our border. Millions of people made it in this country. And you're right. We're at 1.7 million gotaways since he's taken the White House. That's people we know about. Gotaway. We got them on camera, drone traffic, sensor traffic. How about the unknown gotaways? People that crossed the border where it wasn't technology, there wasn't a camera, there wasn't a drone. That could be another million. But people need to understand, millions of people enter this country illegally. And it's not because of incompetence. It's not because of mismanagement. This is by design. They wanted open borders. They ran on open borders. Now we have open borders.
Yeah, this is by design. And so what infuriates our membership is that the legal, law-abiding, tax-paying citizen is recognizing that this is impacting the schools that they pay for their children to attend because their children are not getting the resources, because teachers have to shift resources to children who are disadvantaged. Perhaps they don't speak the language. Health insurance costs are rising while we're giving free health care to illegals. Same thing with everything, you name it. You know, Americans are being forced to get the jab, encouraged. You know, you're sort of, we saw what happened in 2020, 2021, yet they're letting illegals come over without testing for COVID and other diseases. So it just seems to me like the administration is prioritizing the illegal citizen over the law-abiding, tax-paying American. They want to go as far as giving them voting rights. I mean, it really is crazy. So, Tom, my question is, how is it today when you look at the number of drugs that are coming over, when you see the numbers that impact everything from our schools, our hospitals, you name it? I mean, this country is doing, I think, its best to, in many, the free enterprise system anyway, to be innovative. But when you see that you've got so many, by the millions and millions of people that are either flying under the radar and committing illegal acts, breaking into stores, and I'm not saying all illegals, but you've got to understand that so many of these people coming over are owned by cartels. And they don't really have the freedom that they hope to have once they get here if they're paying somebody to help them get over. We know that child trafficking is a real situation. We're not making that up. There are children who are being trafficked. It's like modern day slavery right here in America. And you see an administration do nothing. How is it that anyone could continue to support open borders? In your mind, I mean, what's going on here?
It shocks me. So let me foot stomp a couple things you said. Healthcare costs. Last month, Yuma, the hospital in Yuma, Arizona, every maternity bed in that hospital is taken by an illegal alien. And they'll give birth to a child at taxpayer expense. We'll pay for it, and that child will be a U.S. citizen. So we got to attack birthright citizenship. But think about it. Every United States citizen who lived in the vicinity of Yuma, if they had to give birth, they had to drive another 2 hours to a hospital to find a bed they can actually get into. And so trauma centers, Yuma Hospital is in the hole $36 million right now because they're treating so many illegal aliens and no one's paying for it. Who's going to pay for it? You and I and everybody else who has health insurance are going to pay through it because the hospitals aren't going to absorb this. They're just going to charge insurance companies more for people who actually have insurance to make up that loss. The vaccinations, regardless of what your opinion is on vaccinations, just New York City alone, 19,000 immigrant children has been put in New York's school system. 19,000. Not a single one has a vaccination. No vaccinations. No polio vaccination. No hepatitis A, B. Look, we see a resurgence of mumps.
No measles, mumps, rubella. Yeah, come on. I mean, this is...
And we're already seeing a resurgence of mumps and measles and everything else. But sure. I know when I put my children in school, I had to show a vaccination record. These people have to show a squat. And you said about the illegal aliens being placed over Americans, you're exactly right. Let me give you one example. When I was in Arizona a few months ago, one of these NGOs who won a multi-million-dollar contract were putting aliens in hotel rooms. They lease an entire hotel. So they put them in a hotel room at almost $400 a night. They got 3 meals a day. They got medical attention was delivered to them. They got the air conditioned room in the middle of the hottest summer Phoenix has ever had. All this free, taxpayer expense money, taking care of this. Meanwhile, 2 blocks down the street, a homeless encampment. Me and another guy stopped there. I talked to 4 homeless vets who are living in a canvas tent, who don't have 3 squares a day, who don't have air conditioning, who can't take a shower. So not only do we forget about Americans, we forgot about homeless vets. I mean, we got a homeless problem in this country, but rather than taking care of our citizens who are homeless, we're going to take care of those who showed no respect to this nation. First thing they did is enter the country illegally, which is a crime, and it's a giveaway program. We're not going to solve this crisis. Who in the hell wouldn't come to the greatest nation on earth if you can simply turn yourself in a border patrol, get processed, get released, get flown to the city of your choice at taxpayer expense, get free medical care, get free lodging, free food? Who the hell wouldn't come? So this administration, and let me just add this because it's really important. When you offer that type of giveaway program, millions will come. The most vulnerable people in the world will put themselves in the hands of criminal cartels to be smuggled in the United States. Hence, what has resulted in that? We got 1,700, just above 1,700 migrants have died on U.S. soil under Joe Biden, a record. Over 100,000 Americans have died. His policies are killing aliens at record numbers and Americans at record numbers, and Americans have been put first. President Trump, he made America great again. President Biden, he's making Mexico and Central America great again because we're taking care of the people for them.
Yeah. And Tom, it strikes me, as odd when people take this stance that it's our humanitarian duty, right, to welcome illegal aliens. I mean, I'm all for legal immigration, as most of our members are, of course, right? This is the land of the home of the free, the land of the free and the home of the brave, that is. But but this is America the Great. We want people to come to America the legal way. But the reality is that even if you hold this belief that it's our humanitarian duty, you've got to understand, people who say that, I think, live in a bubble. They don't understand that it's not safe for people to come over illegally, that they are in the hands of dangerous people many times. They're paying off people to get over here. They're sending their children without parents. It really is worse off, in my opinion. Tell us why you think people have this crazy mindset that it's humanitarian. Thank you.
What I would say to that group, the Bleeding Heart group, the people who say this is humanitarian.
Yeah.
Let's set some facts straight. We got millions of people coming across the border claiming asylum that don't qualify for asylum. They know they don't qualify for asylum. That's why over half of them don't show up in immigration court, because they know they have no claims to asylum. Asylum,
right,
by law, is you're escaping fear and persecution from your home government because of race, religion, political affiliation, or participation in a specific social group. You're escaping fear and persecution from your home government. Look at the video of people coming across. They're carrying the flag of their nation. I don't know of anybody that carries the flag of the persecutors, first of all. So they're committing asylum fraud. We are backed up in the courts now 9 years because of millions of asylum fraud applications. Here's the facts. Half of them won't show up in court, and they'll get order removal, but they won't leave because they'll be in hiding. The ones that show up in court, based on 10 years of immigration court data, this isn't my numbers, this is immigration court data, anybody can look it up. In the last 10 years, people that claim asylum are the southern border, 9 out of 10 will never get relief from U.S. courts because they simply don't qualify. And they'll be ordered removed. And the reason this administration is not detaining them, because another report, the Homeland Security Life Cycle Report, says this: if you're ordered removed and you're not in custody, you leave 6% of the time. That's why administration is letting everybody in, millions letting in. They're not detaining them because they know, like I know, they got the same data I have. 9 out of 10 will be ordered removed, but if they're not detained, they'll never leave. And here's what's disgusting. It's just the most disgusting part about this. There are millions of people in this world that do need our protection. There are countries in this world where people are being persecuted by their governments. And I can name the countries that, on one hand. There are people in this world who really need our protection, and they're sitting in the back of the line. There are over 1 million people right now pending a green card or entry into the United States in a legal way. They paid their fees. They took their tests. They took their vaccinations. They want to come and rejoin family that were here illegally. Millions of people are standing in line, doing things the right way, and there's a backlog now. Why? Because the people that award those green cards to these people that earn their way, they're busy with these fraudulent claims. So they're hurting real people that really need our help, and they're hurting the people that are trying to follow the rules and the laws of this country to come in illegally. I can't blame anybody that wants to be a part of the greatest nation on earth. Can't blame them. But you can't. The first thing you can't do is violate our laws. You can't disrespect our country, violate our laws, then want to be a part of this country. You can't have it both ways. So that's the truth that people need to understand. 9 out of 10 of these so-called asylum seekers don't even qualify for asylum.
Yeah. Tom, one other reason why we just love Border 911 is because you're shedding light on the truth. Now, if the tables were flipped and let's just say people on the right, conservatives, Republicans, were this sort of border crisis were occurring under a Republican leadership. We know that the left would go crazy taking pictures of everyone, children in cages. I mean, they did that throughout Trump's time in office. This was something that our Vice President, Kamala Harris, spoke a whole lot about when she was running for president, how she was going to tackle the border. And I just think that we haven't done a good enough job putting a bright, massive spotlight over the disgusting atrocities that are occurring under Joe Biden, who is openly encouraging illegal immigration into this nation. He is trying to sue people in Texas, the state of Texas, for trying to protect their own citizens, the citizens of Texas. He's encouraging an illegal act and basically just saying it's not my fault as he goes off on the beach with his wife and lives in his bubble. So many people see that today. This is why Border 911 is so important. I want to thank you again. And some good news, Tom. What we're seeing is people are beginning to wake up. We saw Robert F. Kennedy, for example. He admitted that he no longer views the border wall as a racist method of prevention for illegal immigration. Have you noticed any other progressive leaders beginning to see the light, changing their attitudes towards this crisis? Have more people who were maybe on the... Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, first of all, we got to agree that Kamala Harris is a moron, right? And she never meant to secure the border because she says she's going to look for the root causes of mass illegal immigration. Well, she don't need to go to Central America to find that. She just walks down the hall to the Oval Office. There's your root cause right there. So, I see that look, the mayor of New York City, the governor of New York City, the governor of Michigan, Illinois, the mayor of Illinois, Chicago. I mean, they're all, even Gavin Newsom's been speaking up about we can't continue this. Look, we can't be the welfare nation for the entire world. We won't survive. And, this country has your right to have a sovereignty. I mean, you're not Ronald Reagan said it best, a nation without borders isn't a nation. Every country has a right to secure their border. And people need to understand, right after, especially what just happened in Israel. I was at Israel 6 months ago. I looked at their border system. They actually got like 6 or 7 different border systems, depending like what the border of Egypt. Not so sophisticated because Egypt's not really their enemy, but the border with Gaza Strip in the West Bank, yeah, that's pretty sophisticated. If they can penetrate that sophisticated wall system and get in there and kill so many people and do the brutality they did, people need to understand our southern border is wide open. The strongest nation on earth, the United States, no longer has operational control of our border. That's just a fact. The criminal cartels of Mexico have operational control of our borders. And that's just not me saying it. I talked to several chief patrol agents in the Border Patrol that run sectors that says they're lucky if they're containing 20%. One chief patrol agent used the term broken arrow. He says he's overrun. He's lucky he's catching 10%. We don't know what's coming across that border. We have some of the best intelligence apparatus in the world, but as you're going to be seen in Israel, intelligence systems fail. But I know this. I know the Border Patrol's arrested people from 171 different countries. Some of these countries sponsor terrorism. They've arrested 272 on a terrorist watch list. We got 1.7 million known gotaways. If you don't think a single one of that 7.1 million didn't come here from a terrorist country, then you're ignoring the data. This again, I'll say it 1,000 times. What's happening on the southern border is putting this country at grave risk. Something's coming. You can't, and I'm telling you, my professional opinion, after doing this for 35 years, I have no doubt a known suspected terrorists that have crossed this open border are here now. I have no doubt. Just a percentage of possibilities. 1.7 million gotaways, 171 countries, 272 already arrested. No one's going to convince me a known suspected terrorist hasn't crossed this border. I can't tell you how many, but someday we're going to find out. It's going to be a bad day for America because this administration gave up a secure border. Think about this. We handed them the most secure border of my lifetime. President Biden's the first president of the United States who came into office and unsecured a border.
On day one, no less. He did it on day one. The American people, I pray, wake up. AMAC members sure have, and they are sounding the alarm. I pray that we can wait 15 months for new leadership. We hope that we see a change at the executive level, but we know that very little will be done, if anything at all, short of, there being some terror attack right here on U.S. soil. What are your short-term expectations for America before we hopefully see that big change in the 2024 presidential race? What are your short-term expectations? Yeah. Do you see anything happening on the state level?
I have zero hope that this administration wants to fix this border because they haven't done a thing to fix it. They haven't done one thing, not one thing to slow the flow. The only thing they've done is send more resources to the border to process quicker, release quicker, because if they can prevent overcrowding, then they can say, border security, nothing to see here. They haven't done anything to slow the flow. I think the more we get out, the more Border 911 gets out there, the more people like you, AMAC gets out there and tells the truth to American people, they'll start making demand. I think what happened in Israel, I think it opened the floodgates and more people say, okay, I've been saying for 2 years about the national security issue on the border. After Israel, terrible, terrible thing. If there's anything good come out of it, which I hate to even use that word because atrocities that happen, is people are waking up, saying, "Wait a minute, how about our border?" There's a lot of people in this world who like to see the United States destroyed. So I'm hoping more people get on. I hope more people will get to the voting booth. What keeps me going every day, again, pushing Border 911. Not making a dime for myself, just every dollar we make goes into operations. What keeps me going is I know two things. President Trump's going to be my next president, and I'm going to go back and work for President Trump, and we'll secure the border. We'll lock it down in 90 days. No doubt in my mind. That's my plan. That's my hope. That's my prayer.
Tom Homan, what a joy to have you with us. And we know that you are certainly the expert. We are grateful for you and all the work that you're doing with Border 911. We're thrilled to be a partner with you. We expect that we'll be hearing a lot more from you and sharing a lot more about what Border 911 is doing. I just want to encourage people that are out there listening. This is why it's so important that you remain a member of AMAC, tell your friends and family about AMAC, or renew your membership with AMAC, because there is strength in membership. When we go to Washington, D.C., and we say that we have 2.4 million members, they listen. That is our elected representatives, both on the state level and the federal level. But when we can go and say we've got 10 million Americans, imagine the work that we can do together. So here at AMAC, we've got our eyes focused all over this issue. Border security, number one issue for AMAC members. Tom Homan, God bless you, and thank you for everything you're doing. So appreciate having you with me today.
And God bless AMAC and what you're doing. You're out there telling American people the truth. I appreciate everything you're doing, and all your members. They're obvious patriots to be a member of AMAC. So I'm proud to be a partner with AMAC, and keep up the good work and keep telling the truth, because American people need to know it.
Thank you, Tom. God bless you all.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.